Clearly. Because that's what else we're going to do.
That would
Welcome to
help.
Section 31, episode number 335. I'm Dan Hammond.
No, I'm Rogue Schindler.
This week we have results from a local 1E tournament, and that's probably going to be it. So I'm going to let Rogue talk. So on Friday night, you were putting together a deck, and I saw you cutting up Makos. So
that's right.
How'd that go?
I did. Well, it was interesting, and I was thinking about it afterwards. And I told Charlie, I was thinking back to your description of the tournament last week, which was, despite going, 0-5, you didn't feel at the end of the tournament like, you just got wrecked. Like,
yeah.
You felt like you were in every game. You had a good time. You didn't feel like it was a waste of time or anything. I had almost the exact opposite experience, except for the bad time. I didn't have a bad time, but it was. I went 3-0 and won the tournament, but I constantly felt like I was behind or too slow or not in it, and almost. With the exception of the last game, I think all of my victories were kind of like squeaked it in or last minute adjustments that made it. So it ended up doing well, but I don't know how comfortable. I certainly know some changes I would make. I'm certainly learned a lot about playing the deck. I think if I played it again, I would do better. Just in my performance-wise, not necessarily in a tournament, but it was certainly a learning experience.
All right. Well, what did you start off with? Who was your opponent in the first round?
Well, I started off against Charlie, and he was playing Mirror Starfleet. He had a new trick, which unfortunately I didn't get to see because he didn't get things set up in time for completing the Emperor tests. He had made. I saw him go through and calculate it a couple of times, and he had, I guess, in his brain, had it at 40 strength that you needed to commandeer the Defiant, and it's 50. And he literally, it's not like he went and I could have brought this guy and that would have put me over. He literally brought everybody he had, so there was not anything else. So then he had to wait and go back and come over, and that gave me a little bit of breathing room. But the other thing that did give me breathing room, and you knew I was going to do this, and sadly I did not get to Botany Bay. Oh no, anyone! But I did play with all of the Botany Bay dilemmas. In most cases, 2 of them. And my strategy was no. My strategy was I was going to lead off with all of them, so that was the first card under every mission.
Okay.
Something else nasty or filtering in between, and then so if you did that, and then you got past it, you hit the next one, you weren't going to get to scan 2 in a row. But then if you tried to scan the last one, you'd get hit again. So I basically did all of my combos were 2 copies, only I flipped them. So you didn't think, oh, I'm going to get the same combo if you hit the 2 of the same one. So if you hit the 2 planet combos, I put the one first one time and the other one first the other time, etc. But man, they're not mean, but they're just like, I can't remember. I think the only time somebody got through one on the first attempt was Thomas was playing Dominion, and he had to use tricks. He had to use the founder leader to download Shapeshift and discard one of his founders and download another one just so he could get the 3 leadership and move on on 3 different people. So yeah, I mean, I didn't kill a whole crew or blow up a ship or even stop, get the exact right person to stop anybody. But those dilemmas, you hit it and you're like, okay, that's what I need. I'll have to come back and get the rest of that later. And then you go through and, you hit another thing, and then you have to hit it again, and you have to stop and go through and find what you're looking for. So I think those gave me a little bit more wiggle room as far as having time to get my act together, because I think I mentioned this to you, and I never did find anything to dilute it with because I was afraid of diluting it, but I really felt like the Makos were not going to be fast, and they really weren't. You know, they're really hindered by not getting to play Earth or Starfleet headquarters at the same time. I don't know where that. I would be interested to hear from the playtest reports, like why that was a bad thing, because there's so many different things that you can play together and get multiple free reports or multiple affiliations working together, and that does not seem any more powerful than the others. But they flew solo, and I had basically 2 of every Mako. I went one of each unique at first, and I was like, well, if I'm going to be trying to use that military operations, you know, the event to try to get 3, I'm going to want as many as possible. Some of them are going to die, so I just went ahead and went 2 of everybody, and then I basically splashed the crew. You know, I had
like Archer and Paul.
Yeah, I did, because I did that. I went back and I was amending my deck list, and I was like, oh, I've got 6 out of 7. I might as well throw in a Phlox so that I can get that achievement, because that's the last crew I needed.
Nice.
And I was like, I didn't put in Phlox because I was like, well, that's like the one classification that Makos have besides security, is they have a decent amount of medical. So I went with the Phlox that has science, because that's a thing I was really short on. I think I played Forrest so I could get the ship, and I threw in a Paxton, I think. Maybe I took him out at the last minute to get the Greed Treachery was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
But that Mako card is really tough because it's such a gamble. You know, if it were, I'm going to get 1 every time at least, then I'll know at least that was worth the card play. But, you know, occasionally at 2, and at least as often you whiff. And when you whiff, it's a rough, like, I just wasted my card play. And a lot of the Makos are Mirror Universe, so if I get 2 Mirror Universe guys in the same shot, then I can't play both of them. I have to pick one, and that I learned quickly from that to do that first, so that if I did get a mirror guy, I could play them instead of, oh look, I already used my Mako free play to play this other mirror guy, and now I can't get the guy off of the event. So there's a lot of learning involved with that. You know, there's a couple unique guys as well as the unique crew guys. So there was, you know, I think by the 3rd round, I finally remembered to start drawing my ready to swim card draws during my play phase, instead of crap, I forgot. Okay, I'll draw 2 to end if that's okay.
Yeah, that's tough.
Everybody was nice about that.
That's a big advantage, getting that card draw in the middle of the turn. Might change the course of the turn.
Yeah, but it also has that. It's nice when I'm like, I only have 1 guy I can play, and hopefully I'll draw another one. But it's also, well, I have Travis, who's unique, and a Mako, Mirror Travis. So which one do I play him as? And then I'm almost certainly going to draw the other one. So the other learning experience I got was somehow, you know how you read a card and you're like, okay, I know what this is going to say because this is patterned off of a bunch of other cards. A lot of the engines, almost universally, are worded recently, have been worded with a text like, here is the list of people that can play here. One of those may do so for free each turn, and do this other special thing that you can do with this engine.
Okay.
And it is, the training camp is not worded like that. And I finally, around the last round, figured out that it's because it's a time location, not an engine, which is slightly different. But when I had been planning and playtesting, I had assumed that all of my Makos were going to jump to my ship. And that's not true. Makos can play there, and anybody who is native can play there, but the text only says 1 person can play per turn, for free each turn, and that person can jump to your ship.
Okay.
So that was a big, you know, I had set up expecting this big, the Enterprise style. I'm going to take my one ship and we're going to go way out, and now my people can jump to my ship and be there. And that was not the case. I had to come back and get guys. I really exercised the temporal conduit. I was really happy I ended up throwing a temporal vortex in my deck at the last minute just for fun, because I had to go back a lot more often than I was expecting. So that was another thing I had to get used to.
I'm sorry, temporal vortex?
Yeah, the doorway? Isn't that
yeah. The one that doesn't have a ref icon anymore?
Yeah, but it still plays as a doorway.
Oh, so you just played it and
I just put it in my deck.
Nice.
It's a free play.
Yeah.
So those were fairly major things that I had to adjust to. Luckily, I had a mirror opponent in my first game, so my missions were fairly close together. I had a mirror opponent in my second game who had 2 alpha missions, so I was still fairly close. And then my last opponent was Dominion, so he only had 2 gamma missions and some alpha, but that was when I really got stretched out. My space missions were far, far away from the moon. The moon! But luckily, that ended up being fortuitous for me, because by then I kind of got the use of how to do it and figured it out. So I think my dilemmas really saved me against Charlie, because that really timed him out, and I was able to get at least 1 mission, maybe 2. The one thing I did, and I think I texted you at this point because I was entertained by this. My new favorite card after playing that deck that somebody played is Evaluate Starship Systems. That's so good. If you have a ship that you can play it on, and guess what Enterprise has in its lore, because it's the first NX ship.
Right, prototype, right?
It's a prototype. So, on a ship, they that just got errated, so it's a limit 5 with your big stars. And guess what? Makos don't have a lot of big stars to begin with. I think I rarely had more than 3.
So remind me, Evaluate prototype adds to range, or is it
all your attributes?
Wow. All right.
For every mission that has test in the title, which is tough actually, because a lot of them are universal. So I did add 1. I added test mission, and for each objective on a mission, your objective on a mission. So I went digging, and I was like, what is like? Okay, well, processor. That's a new favorite. Everybody really likes that. I couldn't use study divergent history again, because I didn't have a HUD quarters, because it plays on Earth. I couldn't use Earth. So I was like, all right, that'll be an engine. I'll have duplicate Makos I can discard. I'll be fine. And I remembered to put it on the moon.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
It made it easy. And then I always had a planet mission nearby, or a Starfleet mission nearby. So I put my outpost next to it so that I could put Explore New World there, which is actually pretty good. I a number of times hit a wall early with Explore New World, which says you can't use transporters. You have to use shuttle pods, and I had thrown in the shuttle bay because the shuttle pods looked pretty cool, which ended up being very crucial late in the tournament. And if your entire away team gets stopped, you can download equipment if you have at least 3 people. So I did that. I got an equipment. I was like, medical crisis. Okay, well, I'm going to need a couple people, but there's no consequences for that. So next turn, I'll attempt. I'll download another equipment. And like 3 equipment later, I had the people I needed, so I went ahead and passed it and kept going and solved. But that was neat. And I had thrown in a divergent, was it diverse experiences?
Yeah.
Let you download that interrupt. So that was nice. Got a got some card draws out of it.
Yeah, nice.
So I got that for right away, and that card actually ends up being good because it was another card I could play on a mission. One of the shuttle pods downloads one for free, so I got two. Usually, I can get shuttle pod first turn, and I can get 2 cards out on mission. So I'm +3 to my range from evaluate starship ship systems on my first turn, plus however many big stars I've got. So that was really nice. Gave me a bit of freedom to go back and forth and in and out of time. Unfortunately, after some playtesting, I got really cocky and was like, I can play this from my discard pile. I don't think anybody's going to cancel it. It's not going to go away. I only need to run 1 copy of military assault shark operations.
Yeah. How did that backfire?
Well, it never quite got there because I caught myself, but I'm so used to processing ore the normal way. It's like, or not having a discard pile. It's like, I'll discard a card from my hand, I'll put it in my point pile, I'll draw 2 cards. No problem. Except it actually is discard a card, place the bottom card of your discard pile in your point area, so it's gone forever, where you can't download it from. So there were definitely games where I didn't even get to process ore, even though I set up right away. I didn't get to do it till halfway or late in the game because I couldn't.
You need another discard?
A non-ref discard, so my freaking secure homeworld was not helping any.
Right.
Or defend homeworld, whatever gets the security guy. So that was another learn as you go moment that cost me. Again, not getting enough card draws to be able to have enough play options. But, it was still a card. It was still on a mission. It was beefing my my evaluate starship systems, and it did prove useful in some cases later after a couple people died, or I was able to discard a couple of cards. So all of that said, I did notice as I was going, because when I first read it, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. They're going to be going and doing stuff, getting stuff out and pulling tricks all the time. But there's really only one special download for each of the new Mako cards. 2 of them are events, so you have to play them in advance if you're not special downloading them. 2 of them are interrupts, so they're cool, but you still can't play them in the middle of a mission attempt. I wasn't sure how useful each one was going to be, so I put in 2 of each, one of each in the tent, 1 of each in my deck. At some point in playtesting, I went, Solidarity is going to be the key card here. This is the one that I'm
relocate.
No, that's the we don't die.
Ah, yeah.
So I put in 2 extra copies in my deck. So because I'm like, if I'm gonna not play Mako, that's going to be the card I want to play so that they don't die. Because waiting for the one person who downloads it and then downloading it when I need it was great, but it wasn't, half the time I didn't have her, and half the time, or, if I use it once and then it expires because it's got a countdown, I'm going to want another one. And that actually was, I did both over the course of the day. In fact, at one point I had 2 on the table because I played one from hand before I went and attempted, and then at the next turn I got her and I played her, and she was in the attempt. She was about to die, so I downloaded it again just so I could have it last one more turn. Mm-hmm. And that was crucial because I was throwing Thomas. Oh my God, Thomas
have?
Only 4, but they're Thomas dilemmas, so they're kicking your butt. But I had to, so it was Horda first, and then a punishment box, which is just mean. I feel like that shouldn't work. I feel like if you're in the box, you should be safe from the Horda. Or if you're going to put the Horda in the box with the punished person, then they get eaten. And everybody else should be safe. But so then I was like, it was getting late game, and I was trying to get through. So I was like, well, they're Makos. They're essentially red shirts of the 22. 22nd century. So here we go. And Horta, die. It's like, okay, another guy. Punishment box. Okay, now I need an officer and somebody, and an officer and somebody, and an officer and somebody. And by the time we got to the end, I'm like, okay, everybody who is not a Mako, get in the pod. Everybody who is a Mako, get your butt down there because we're gonna dilute this Horta pool.
Dilute the Horta pool.
So at the end of the turn, random selection to die. We got a Mako, didn't die. Next turn, attempt, got a Mako, didn't die. And then I was able to get through to the end. So that was actually pretty cool, and it was tough because it was the moon mission. There's not a lot of officers, and I was risking my non-Mako officers in the punishment box.
Box, right? Yeah.
So I had to have somebody in the box and 2 to solve, which really stretched me thin. I was lucky none of them died, but that was a crucial play. I got a really great stroke of luck that I then blew and then supplanted with a second stroke of luck after Thomas sent me way to the end of the space line so I could get to a space mission. I was like, hey, I got a lot of range. This is Starfleet. We can do this. Got all the way out there. Got past something. And then got stopped by, we got captured. Somebody got captured because he was playing the training ring, which he never quite got to go to work, thankfully. Although I was poised to download my rescue captives.
Nice.
But I got hit the engineer nano something physics, and it's O'Brien. You know, they're trying to fix the thing, so you have to stop 2 engineers, not 1 engineer, 2 engineers, which would become important when I failed utterly. Or a physics person, and then after you stop that, then you need physics and 2 computer skill. And I had it all worked out. I got my jury rig girl. She was going to gain the skills so we could get past it, except I was not counting on needing to stop 2 engineers. In the intervening turn, Thomas attempted a mission right next to that and hit Mako encounter.
So you got to go fetch your own Makos?
So I got to go fetch my own Makos. And I was like, I saw the people that he had at the first dilemma. I was like, I'm not going to beat them. I shouldn't attack. I'll get engineer and physics. And I'll grab a gun for fun. And then I'll have it. I can go pick them up. I can come back. And then I was doing the math. I was like, well, actually, I have jury rig Mako now. I can play her. She'll jump to the ship. I'll stop an engineer. I'll gain the skills. I'll get past the dilemma. So these guys can fight, and it'll stop his guys. And it'll be one more stop before he hits the next wall, which will stop him again. That'll take him forever. That'll be great. So I attack. I stop him. One of my guys dies. I take my turn. I attempt. I realize I miscounted my engineers. There's an engineer sitting on my mission next to me, out of reach. And I didn't have the come and get it interrupt. And I already attempted anyway. So I didn't have the guy that downloaded it and have Jeremiah in the middle. So I failed, wasted a turn. Thomas killed my guy.
I would imagine. Counterattack and get rid of him.
Yep, and I'm way out there. And I need engineer or physics and from a Mako because that's the only way I can jump him out there. And I'm like, this is a horrible, horrible miscalculation. I had that I was gifted the brilliant play for having put the Makos. I made sure I put my Mako dilemmas in the Alpha Quadrant so I could go pick them up. And then I just grasping around at all my cards looking for something to help, and I saw a launch bay. And my brain went bing! And I played a guy, and I remembered I got to draw a card for Ready to Swim, and I converted that card draw into a shuttle pod 2. And I took my Tucker the Third from hand, and I played him straight to my ship with my shuttle pod. And
nice.
I was the smuggest little smug relieved player of all time.
Very good.
So shuttle pods, super awesome. I would totally that was, I threw them in to try them out because they were a cool Enterprise Starfleet flavory thing, and getting the, dropping some people off and then attempting and then picking them back up. I did anticipate the wrong thing with it one time because I was like, I'm going to hit a Cytherians here because it's the end of the space line. So I'll attempt with just a few people from the shuttle pod. They can get, and then they won't go anywhere because they're out of range. And then I'll attempt from the big ship and solve. And of course, I hit the other side of that danger coin, which is Gum2.
Yeah.
And that almost completely boned me because it was against Matt, and he had already played a Nexus, so the Nexus was coming, and so I was like, oh, cool. Gom2 flung me to my outpost, so I'll just sit here at my outpost and repair. And I had previously timed it out. It's like, well, I have one turn. It's going to stop at the mission on his turn, right next to my time location, so I can go to the moon, go back in time, wait for it to pass by. I could still do that. I had the range, but that meant I was not going to get repair time, and I was basically going to lose any chance of, all my bonuses are offline because it's just drops to 5. And so I went ahead and did that, let it go by. I had gotten through everything at the mission where the Nexus was, or at least I knew what the last dilemma was and I could solve. So I had nothing I could do. So I sent the Enterprise over there, blew it up, and just, relocated my people to the planet.
Sure.
Solved, because it was like, I have to do something. We're at time. And then Matt was really salty. I had my shuttle pod, which I had dropped off before I moved over in space, so it's not used any range. Landed with the rest of my people, just trying to do anything. Hit a dilemma, got past it, hit another dilemma. Didn't affect me for whatever reason. And then hit God. I was like, all right. We fail. And I need a ship now. So the rest of my people came out of the shuttle pod, except for one, who took the one range to take it back up in the orbit. And I had a ship, and I solved. So, shuttle pods were very key to my day. And that was a last minute, I was originally going to try the 5-year mission, ship recovered, do the one ship thing.
Sure.
But I realized that did not work if I had shuttle pods, and the launch bay was looking pretty cool. And I was like, I can get emergency evacuation with the shuttle pod bay, or with the launch bay. So it's like, that's another, that's essentially the same thing, even though I don't get to replace my ship. So I was like, let's go ahead and keep the flavor, try this out. And that was a great decision.
The shuttle pods, from what I hear from Charlie, were also key to his trick. Did you get to see? You didn't see it in action, but did you get to hear it?
He told me about it. Yeah.
Right. So one of the Emperor tests is that you have to your contender has to be on a ship in a battle with multiples of your ships, and you have to win. So he got from someone. I don't remember who he said he got it from. You play incoming message attack authorization on your ship, and you target one of your own shuttlecraft and just blow it up. And now by the letter of the card, you have won an engagement involving 2 of your ships. That doesn't specifically say that they're on the same side. Fair enough.
Mechanically, that's like, oh, that's not what you're supposed to do. That's cheating. But thematically, if you think about it, for the Terran Empire,
yeah, you get the message. That
they're totally going to respect somebody who's willing to blow up their own shuttlecraft with their own people on it to get ahead.
I gotta think that there's some rule against attacking your own ship, but you're playing an interrupt that specifically says attack another ship at this location. So I guess that overrules it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
and it specifically says you have to attack another ship. It doesn't say an opponent's ship.
Yeah. So it'll be
any ship.
I'd be interested to hear anyone debate that, but that was an ingenious idea, and that is certainly the hardest of the Emperor tests to fulfill. I mean, the last one's pretty tough because you have to solve a mission, a very specific mission, but
Yeah.
that's usually the tripping point. So that's pretty cool. That's worth the points. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in action. I'll have to add that to my. Last time I played, there were no shuttlecrafts to fling about, so
Oh yeah.
it would have been shooting at another big ship. But
Does that?
that's
I guess it
interesting.
just says NX class, so it doesn't specifically say it has to be alpha. So yeah, you could probably use it with them here. That'd be really cool. I'm a huge fan. And I was thinking about it afterwards because one of the things I do, if my deck does even remotely well when I'm putting it in, is I save it, I post it, and then I make a copy and I start making changes. It's like, here are all the things wrong with this deck, and if I'm going to play it again, I'm going to make these changes now so I don't forget.
That's a good idea.
And I think I would actually try to do the flagship recovered, but keep the launch bay in so that I could use the shuttle pods if I needed to, and then have an STP so I can pick it back up.
Does recovered only, it functions if you only have one ship, but it doesn't disappear if you have more than one?
Yeah, it only, I believe it says if your ship was blown up and you, I don't know, I'd have to read it again now that you mention it. Now I'm not sure.
No, it's an interesting idea. You use the shuttle as a reporting mechanism to get an extra person where you need them, or to a quick, get to here, get to there, pick it up again. That way, if anything happens to your main ship, you can Federation flagship it, download another copy.
Exactly.
Or what do you get, another Enterprise? You get the
I don't think
Columbia
that. Yeah, you can get another ship of the same class.
Right.
Or you can get any Enterprise if it was an Enterprise, which is nice, except that I wouldn't be able to fly any of those since mine is Starfleet and the others are all Federation. But it's still, you could actually get a Mir Enterprise. That was actually what I was going to do, get the NX-01.
Right, because it's basically the same attributes, right?
Yeah, and I have enough dudes, because it's not big stars, it's only Mir, Starfleet Terran Empire people that beef it up, and I have enough of those that it would be worthwhile.
Cool. Alex, on to that.
But, yeah. If opponent just destroyed your only ship in play.
Okay, so
it can be in play and you can have multiple ships, but if it's the only ship when you're destroyed, then you could do it. So you could drop one for free. Shuttle Pod 1 is free, and it downloads the Explore New World. So you could do that and get a free Explore New World and pick it back up if you really wanted to. Or more importantly, you could play the Shuttle Pod 2 to report somebody with crew when you really, really need it, and then pick it back up. And then, you're still safe. And then if you really, really need it again, you could do it again. And then you're sacrificing you're recovered. But, if you really need that guy and you're far away, now's the time.
Nice. All right. Good trick. I like it. So you played against Charlie, who was playing Mirror Universe. Thomas was playing Gamma Quadrant, you said?
Yeah, he was playing Dominion with some of the new tricks, try to not be too heavy on the Jem'Hadar. It looked like he had the training ring out. He definitely had capture stuff, but he never got anybody back there. And he had some Founders and some Vorta, so I think he was trying to do the balanced trick with, I forget the name of the new card, but that says really well if you have one of each.
Sure.
Out. It sounded like he was having a slow start and that he made it. He didn't tell me what it was, but he was definitely like, "Oh, I really should have done that sooner." And so I think it sounded like he was planning to come over and try to smack me down. I know when I was going to the end of the space line to get my space mission, I ended up stopping at the wormhole just because of range, the way the range counted. And he actually was coming out, and he's like, and he looked at my ship and he looked at his ship, because I did the same thing when I stopped there. I was like, geez, I don't want to stop here. I'm going to get blown up. And then I counted up my shields and I was like, never mind. I'm like, I got shields of 13. Sure, I'll hang out here. And then he did the same thing. He counted his up, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go through the wormhole and stop right there with you. You could attack me."
That's funny.
So I declared to the armies, "That's right, Dominion warship, fear my Starfleet vessel." And then I went on my merry as he played his second warship.
Probably for the best.
Like, I'll be over here attempting my mission. Please don't come and touch me. But that was
yeah, go ahead.
that was entertaining. And then Matt was actually playing the
Was he playing the
flagship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, KCA flagship, which I he had beaten Thomas already. We played second, and I felt like I was in it deep. I think really the only thing that saved me was time, because he had. There was a couple times I was like, "Why aren't you attempting yet? Why aren't you doing this yet? Why aren't you doing that yet?" But I had played that deck several times, and like I really got used to the intricacies, and it looked like he was still getting used to it. In fact, I remember him saying when he sat down to play Thomas for the first round, it's like, "Oh, good, Thomas can teach me how to play my deck." So
I think I've heard you say that before.
yes, I have many times to Thomas.
Yeah,
good. You can answer this question for me. Yeah, it was. He was doing that, and then he had a lot of stuff that dragged the game out. He was playing a Q flash, so we had to go through 9 people's worth of Q flashes, and when I attempted my first mission, and it's like, oh, okay, do I have this one out? Let's do all the thing on this, do all the thing on that one, and we have to make a decision. Am I going to take this, or am I going to give you points, or whatever? So there's that, and then the Nexus, and then like I hit the Gome too. So and there was all the going back and forth, and it was odd. I felt a little bad because he looked like he was going to do pretty well, but he did get stonewalled by a couple of my dilemmas, except for the leadership one that obviously was not a problem.
Sure.
But he did some good skill gaining to get past my spatial rift, which was second, and then he hit the third one. But so much time was taken up by the going around with trying to figure out the Nexus and how that worked, and the Q flashes and everything, that when I was out of things to do and time was very close, I was like, all right, well, I told you I rammed my ship into the Nexus so I could get my people to the mission, because that was the only way I was going to get to it in time. And then Hail Married with the landed ship, the landed shuttle pod. So
you said Nexus. I was wondering if you had was playing the Observatory, where you download the Nexus, change directions, download the artifact, that kind of thing. That's been on my list as well since I saw that the 50th set dropped.
Nope, I'm not sure what his strategy was behind using the Nexus. It was just in there. I mean, it's certainly a thing you have to think about, and I was trying to figure out if I could fly by it, if I don't have to stop there or whatnot, and if I could cloak. Luckily, I had a time location, so I could disappear and sneak away. But yeah, it was. It ended up, I think, backfiring because it took so much time dealing with all these little things that I was able to get my first couple missions done earlier, and Matt was not able to go and get by. Once again, those walls, not too hard, but you hit them, you have to stop, take stock, get the people you need, come back and hit it again, and so 3 dilemmas takes you 5 attempts.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah,
I like it. Cool. Well, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you. It was close. So it came down the last round. Charlie was like, "All right, all 3 of you guys can still win it. So let's go round 3." So yeah, it was really fun, and it's good games with everyone. Always fun to play, and it was nice to play some money.
No TK, no Nate, day. No Johnny.
No, Johnny did not hear from Johnny. I guess he was just busy, and I think JD's. He did not say he would be. I forget the wording, but his message implied that he was out at sea.
Ah, okay.
That he would not be back in port until late May.
Fair enough. All right. Well, still, hey, good showing.
Yeah, we had 4. We got to play. We had fun. Hung out at Darby's and had my baby daughter come and watch the last round. Caitlin came by and got some lunch, and she sat there and blah 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 blah. It's like, no, Nexus.
Yeah.
Say Nexus.
Well, what we got on the calendar? I don't see anything on the calendar coming up on our internal calendar.
No, I know Matt's running a 2E tournament because he keeps spamming the email list about it.
Yeah, I see that on the 21st of May.
Yeah, that's it.
And I see constructed on the 1st of June. Oh, no, that's July. Is that our regional?
Oh yeah, constructed 1E. That must be. I assume so.
It is not marked as such. However, it is a OTF tournament on the 1st of July, so I'm guessing that's probably regional.
Yeah, that's like the last weekend you can do it. Ooh, 1st of July. Well, we'll see how done we are. Whether I participate in that.
There is so at some point I was probably trying to create a tournament because either I had forgotten to post it or I needed something. So there's a tournament coming up for February 11th, 2018. JD pre-registered for it.
Of course he did.
Because of course he did.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't even know what day of the week that is. That's hilarious. Now I got to find out. Okay, well, yeah, that's a Sunday in February, so I guess we'll be playing some first edition.
Cool. I just signed up.
All right, it'll be a league event. I'll sign up. That's awesome. All right, brilliant. Okay, well, we have some things to look forward to in a few weeks. It sounds like so I'm running not the 1E set that's coming out soonish, the 1E set that's going to go to testers soonish. So maybe we'll get some kind of information about things. I know there's supposed to be a 2E set coming up before that, so hopefully we'll get some 2E spoilers and some information that we can share. I'll
Cool.
pester people for that kind of thing.
All right, sounds good. Well, that's all the intelligence we have this week. Thanks to everybody for coming out to the tournament. Matt, I know you had to make a deck at the last minute, so thanks for rounding out our 4 with Charlie and Thomas. Looking forward to the next time we get to do it, and I hope everybody has fun at the 2E tournament in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan. And
I will remind you all to expand your power in the I'm out of it universe.
All right, I'll go in.